I was wondering if you can help us thread through some definitions. And I have a few definitions that I think would help to offer some clarity to me and to others. Islam, Muslim, Quran, Muhammad, and Hadith. And so we can just take it one by one, but I know that there are some that I will use and overlap and, interchangeably. I'm not sure if I'm actually doing that correctly.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will hear people often say the Muslim religion or, Islam people, things like that. So these terms I think will be really helpful. As we've mentioned a couple times, Islam is the religion itself, just like Christianity is the religion that we believe is true, or like Buddhism is a religion. Islam is the name of the religion. A Muslim is a person who follows Islam. So that would be like a Christian is a person who follows Christianity. A Muslim is a person who follows Islam. The Quran is the holy book of Muslims, and it is believed to have been revealed by God through an angel to Muhammad, and Muhammad gave those revelations to people, to followers, to converts. So the Quran is their holy book. Let's see, Muhammad is the messenger. He is the one who is believed to have brought the words of God. He's actually, though, not really comparable to Jesus. He's more comparable to the Bible than he is to Jesus, because Muhammad was not God incarnate like Jesus is God incarnate. Muhammad is not to be worshipped as Jesus is to be worshipped. He's the messenger. He just presents, repeats, reveals God through the words that he's been given. So he's really comparable to probably to the Bible. The Quran, on the other hand, is more comparable to Jesus, both being considered the eternal word of God.
Oh, that's interesting. That's super helpful. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what about Hadith? Because that's a word I'm not familiar with.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people aren't. And it's really important, though, to understanding Islam, because these are the traditions of Muhammad. These are collections of things he said and did. And the Quran commands Muslims to obey what Muhammad did and said, to imitate him in everything. He is the excellent pattern of conduct, but there's nothing about him or his life or his words or his deeds in the Quran itself. So you really have to refer to the Hadith, the collections of Muhammad's life and what he did and said, in order to be able to imitate him, and in order to be able to obey the Quran's commands, to follow him, to act like him, to imitate him. And so those are found, those are the Hadith. There are a bunch of collections of many, many, many volumes, but there are a couple in particular that are considered the very best. And so a lot of the practices that are central to Islam actually come from the Hadith, not the Quran. For example, praying 5 times a day. That's an important practice in Islam, but that's not to be found in the Quran anywhere. You need the Hadith to know that that Muslims are to pray 5 times a day.
Now, when you say that that Muhammad is the one that they kind of look to for the example of how to live, were there things, or are there things that Muslims may disagree with regarding Muhammad, or is that even allowed?
Well, there are a lot of things that Muslims who are alive today would disagree about, but a lot of that comes down to the fact that a lot of Muslims are not familiar with all of what Muhammad did and said. They're not really encouraged to read and understand the Hadith. They're encouraged to rely on their leaders and their leaders are often very heavily influenced by their culture. So you're going to find a lot of differences among Muslims throughout the world. And you will find differences among Muslim leaders who some will say, well, that isn't really a reliable hadith or saying tradition. So we don't follow that one as carefully, or we don't follow that one at all. Whereas others might look at the same hadith and say, well, but it's right here in our oldest, most trusted sources. The scholars who have identified which were the most reliable hadith have said this is reliable, so we should follow it. So there are a lot of reasons why there are differences, and there are certainly major differences. What I found is that the differences among Muslims throughout the world are far more significant than even the differences among Christians. And there are certainly and obviously some important differences, and a whole bunch of insignificant, or I would say maybe less significant differences among Christians.